Well, I think everybody has in their packets the information about connecting to Zoom for both meetings. Dory, do you have anybody that has connected to Zoom yet
I
for
do
this?
have one person.
Okay. Is it Larry?
No, I don't recognize the name.
I did not bring my phone.
Okay, so we should
I did not bring my
hook
phone.
up for that. As soon as I untangle my cord. But I'll gavel us in. I call the town hall meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. I'll just reiterate the meeting guidelines, that the town hall meeting starts at 6:30. You'll be invited to speak by the mayor, whether in person or by Zoom. Please limit your time to allow others to speak as well. We do stop at 5 minutes to 7. Please be respectful when you're stating your concerns or your issue to bring to council. Council and mayor will engage in discussion with you regarding your desired topic. If you do recognize a problem, please suggest a solution. And again, we will stop the town hall meeting at 6:55. If you do have something you want to address, just raise, if you're on Zoom, please raise your hand and Dory will recognize you. If you're not sure how to do that, if you're on phone, unmute yourself and identify yourself and ask to speak. We do have something that we can discuss while I'm getting my Zoom set up. This was brought up at the Business Affairs and Technology meeting on the 10th of May. Randy, would you want to talk about that, making future town hall meetings available for businesses?
If we don't have any participation in the town hall meetings here early, I think we should use this time for our businesses and our business association that we're thinking about doing, to have them, invite them down to present any problems or issues that they want to talk about.
What do you think about that, Steve? Think that's a good idea?
I agree. I would love to see more business participate with us so we get to know what they would like to see.
But we want to do it, so that's just once a month, right? So that's just for this one.
Just the
Yep.
third Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah, as I mentioned before we started, I think it'd be an excellent idea. Most of the businesses in town don't have their managers or owners reside within the city, so they kind of think, I don't have a voice because I'm not a resident of the city, where this would be an opportunity to invite them. Yes, in fact, you do have a voice, though you can't vote at the polls, you certainly can express, and we can communicate back and forth relative to issues, concerns, opportunities, etc.
And we're going to keep the Zoom thing going even throughout, after everything slows down with COVID. We're going to keep that going? Yes, no? Sue?
I'm sorry.
Are we going to keep the Zoom thing going even in the future?
Yes.
Yeah. So that, that'll be help also if they are out of town and they can still jump in on that real quick.
Right. I mean, we can certainly discuss it. For now, we will, because the actual state of emergency hasn't been lifted.
Right.
As long as that is engaged, at least the way it reads now in the city, I don't know, minutes or however that motion was passed, because I wasn't here then, that it's to stay in effect until the state of emergency is lifted. So when that's lifted, then we would have to decide if we want to continue to allow people to access the meetings by Zoom, or if we eliminate that, then they'd have to come in person. Devin's not here to tell us how much it costs, but there is obviously a cost every time we use Zoom. And I don't know what it is. We can check with her.
And if we do that, if we continue with Zoom, I'd like to also investigate the cost of maybe a monitor in the council chambers, and so that everyone can hear at the same time, and we do not have to participate individually.
Dory's laughing because I just said today, I walked out and said, we need to get a 72-inch monitor, put it on the wall or downstairs, where we're gonna be meeting, so that everybody can see and hear at the same time without having to individually do that. It's very hard to do that. I'll tell you right now, the grant writer that was gonna come tonight is not coming tonight. He had some urgent issue come up that he has to take care of. So we'll reschedule him to another time. But he said, can I attend by Zoom? I said, well, I don't think you'd get an optimum presentation environment because, and explained to him why. So I said, I think it would just be best if you come in person. Just let us know when you want to come. We'll plug you back in. But Steve, I agree with that.
I don't think it'd be very expensive to do. You can get a large TV or monitor pretty inexpensively nowadays.
Yeah,
And it's something that John and his guys could install, I'm sure.
yeah.
And if it does go downstairs or anything, you can use it for training, you can use
Correct.
a lot or for a lot of different
Absolutely,
things.
yeah. We have a contract with IT Right. They might even be able to get us a better price for something.
I think the biggest issue, when we talked about this before, and Devin raised the issue as to whether or not, what kind of feedback, et cetera, that we'd have. Not so much the monitor itself, but electronically, are we able to get two-way communication? Those of us that participated when everybody was on Zoom,
Right.
it was like you were here in person, because you saw,
Right,
if you have the monitor at home, you could see everybody.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But I think the big piece is gonna be, how do we overcome the squeal and the feedback, et cetera?
I believe all we would have to do is, while they were speaking, mute the microphone.
That's
And
the
I
big thing,
see,
that's the
in
big
council chambers, it's much smaller,
Yep.
so it wouldn't be that much of an issue. So we just mute our own microphone while they spoke,
Okay,
and then muted them when we spoke. I believe that would.
I think we've came a long way in the Zoom technology over the last months. Everybody has.
I'm sure, all the use of it.
Muting your mics, having your cameras on when you think you do or don't, so yeah, it's become almost a common thing now.
Well, I think that's a great idea. Maybe we could just make a note, and perhaps Devin already has checked into this before and could just recontact to find out about cost and so forth. Do you think she has in the past?
I know she's had some conversation on the topic, whether it's gotten to the point of cost or not, I don't know.
I believe it's almost a yearly cost now. We've made it to where you're like unlimited.
But I mean for the monitor and
Oh,
all
the
that,
monitor.
yeah. Hello.
Evening. Mr. W, how are you?
Great, how are you both today?
I'm good.
I have to rethink the sweatshirt idea. Oh. Dory, do you have anybody raising their hand that wants to talk?
No,
Okay.
nothing that looks like a hand.
Okay.
Joanne?
I can talk on the number of things in my purse for an hour.
As it regards expanding to the businesses, is that something you can do as you call a special meeting? Do we need to talk about it in council and agree to it with a motion, or do you know what the mechanism is to do it?
You know, since it's during the town hall time, I don't think it needs a special approval. I just need to call the special meeting for the purpose of
Thanks.
opening up for local business owners to discuss stuff.
And I don't believe we need to limit it to business owners. I believe any resident could attend at the same
At
time
the
also.
same time.
Yes,
It's more broad, it's more rather than a shift, it's broadening of the scope.
correct, correct.
See, the special, the note that I have to give her now, just so you know, always says, special meeting is called to order. The purpose of this meeting will be public comment, town hall meeting to hear possible resolutions to concerns. So all I would need to do is state that it's open to residents and local business owners.
/ managers, whatever.
I think that's all we'd have to do. John, did you get my message? John, I left you a message that said the grant writer is not going to be able to attend the council meeting tonight.
Oh, that's okay, I can give a report on
Okay.
county stuff.
All right. And
City
and
stuff.
you are welcome to come anytime. I
Yeah.
just
Yep.
feel bad if you didn't get my message.
I was coming anyway.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome. We're having our town hall meeting now for the next 10 minutes. If there's anything that anyone would like to discuss. Hi, Chris.
I do. I have a
Yes.
very big concern.
What is it?
My son was almost hit yesterday. We had stopped at Bath Road and 52. And the line through the ice cream place was clear out and in that first lane, all the way to the car. So, to the side of his vehicle. This car came down 52, put its turn signal on, and so my son assumed that he was gonna turn the corner and started out, and the car went right in front of us to get in line at the ice cream cone place. That is very dangerous. And when they start having people walking to and from the ice cream cone place, it's just gonna get worse. Is there something we can do?
Well,
mean,
I
like put a
think,
stop sign on that turn lane
I
or
think,
something?
I think the elimination of the problem will be, now we have obviously mask lifting. You don't have to wear a mask inside now. There's going to be, according to communication I received today, a new guidelines issued by the CDC on Monday. And so once those are issued, I am assuming, hopefully correctly, that a lot of the businesses are going to be able to change the way they do business. I mean,
So
for
you
them.
think instead of cars, just have people being able to go in and
I-
walk in and sit down?
Well, they don't ever go in there anyway, but
Right.
they can open their parking lot to cars parking like they had before, which will eliminate some of that.
Yeah, it
But
was-
they need
it
to
was
open
bad.
up their window to walk up. See, they had to stop that because so many people were
Oh, so
congregating.
that it was only
there.
drive-through.
But now
Yeah,
it's open, now it's outside and people can be outside without masks. I would think that under those CDC guidelines, that they could change that. But
Hopefully.
the overriding thing, and it says that in this communication too, businesses may require something else, and if they do, that's their privilege. If a business requires you to wear a mask to go in, you must wear a mask. If a business requires you to be 6 feet apart in line, you must abide by that rule. So, CDC recommendations are recommendations, but if a business makes a requirement and posts a sign requiring something, then you need to do that in order to do business there. Hi, are you Stacy?
I am.
Yeah, have a seat, we'll be a little bit yet.
Sure.
So that, if they could open up a little bit more,
Yeah.
So,
Like I said, there was no place for the traffic to go, but
The governor today had loosened some of the restrictions starting June 1st and then some more starting July 1st. has not lifted, but loosened some restrictions.
And that was what I read today. But she did say that the CDC would issue guidelines on Monday. But I'll talk to Kyle and just ask
Okay,
him
they just
to
need to-
touch base with them.
If there's any, I don't know if there's any signs or any, that was just bad.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, I'm glad he wasn't
Learned that
hit.
You never trust a turn signal.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, and he learned it.
I'm glad he did.
Because he was pulling out, that car was coming, and I said, car, stop, and I'm over there driving straight and putting my foot on the brake, and it was like not working.
Doesn't work.
And he goes, what is that guy doing? And I was like, he's gotta go get his ice cream cone.
I would have called the cops then, we're gonna be in line for a good 20 minutes,
Oh,
so.
probably.
You know where to go get him.
Yeah?
Yeah, but
Yeah. I will just say that based on CDC guidelines, we are making masks inside optional. You do not have to wear a mask to be in here, but if you feel more comfortable with one on, please feel free to wear it. We don't have any judgment regarding that. Any other topics for discussion? That was a good one, Joe.
I have one that I'll bring up that I'm going to do some research, and one of my contacts, I wasn't aware that the Perry Food Bank had ceased taking donations during the whole time of COVID.
Right.
Does anybody have any insight as to whether that's been lifted or will be lifted, or?
we haven't heard anything at City Hall. They haven't said anything. Usually we're the first ones to know. They tell us that, oh yeah, we're taking stuff now, and the other place is Spalding Insurance. That's one of the drop-off sites.
Right, and
Hopefully, keep our fingers crossed, hopefully people are storing this stuff up, and so when they say, okay, we're gonna take it, they'll have more than what they know to do with.
I understand in part the reason, the reason for it, but it's a little counterintuitive that we've stopped donations during probably one of the toughest times for people, but.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I heard they said you could take it somewhere else. I can't remember where, but I don't know if any of you guys know where that is, but, seems like somebody asked that somewhere. Don't know if you have to take it over to Corona or what, or go from there.
I know they were still assisting people with money, that they were still accepting, gifts that could be sent to their treasurer, and then if somebody needed something financially, like to pay for their electric bill or their fuel bill or something along that line, they were still providing that kind of help. But I haven't heard anything about the actual food
But I
donation.
spoke to John today, plans on opening on June 1st, so it might be worth a phone call from one of us to see if he's gonna start the food thing up again there. I didn't ask him that.
I don't even know for sure who the head of the food bank is. Does it?
I got
do you-
a name and number
Do
from
you?
Devin that I'm gonna follow up on.
Would-
so-
Okay, so you will do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I will. I just didn't know whether anybody here had any insight.
Once you find out, could you give a report back
I will.
so that we can get it out and put it on the board down at the Carl's grocery store?
Absolutely.
And we all like that board down the Carl's story. Good job there. That's really nice.
All I do is put it up.
Yep, you
You
did.
guys are the ones that give me the information.
Yeah, I saw the big banner for the parade on there today, so.
Good.
We had a lot of people in town for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday yard sales. I saw lots of people and heard that Amy's got slammed, business-wise.
Yes, it did.
That's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
I haven't heard anything negative. I haven't heard from anybody any issues or problems that came about because of having a lot of people in
Well,
town.
I think I think a lot of people were out, love to get back out and doing it.
Beautiful weather, so that
Yeah.
certainly helped. Hello. Are you guys here for the town hall portion of our meeting? Is there any issue you want to bring forward during town hall meeting?
No, just the second part.
Okay,
Yeah, they're here for the conditional zoning discussion.
okay, very good. Well, we will start that here shortly. The events committee has some ideas that they've been putting forward to coordinate events between the school, the businesses, and the city, perhaps even in the future, the township. But if anybody has any suggestions of events they would like to see coordinated, just give us a call here at City Hall. You can leave a message for me, or you can talk with Devin. She's our events coordinator. I'm sorry, not Devin, Dory.
I was gonna say, she said.
Dory, our events coordinator. Yeah, don't call Devin, she will kill me. Call Dory. See, it's confused me because Dory's in Devon's seat. Dory, do you still not have anyone on Zoom who wants to
No,
bring up
no one.
forth any issue?
No one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to close the town hall meeting now at 6:57. I'm sorry, 52. Please.
I invite you to pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come before you with thankfulness for both the opportunity and the freedom that we have to gather and to participate in government here in the city of Perry. I thank you for the many leaders who are present here, who serve in this community with their time and talents. I thank you for the way that you've shaped their lives and the experiences that you've given them that uniquely prepare them to serve in this capacity, and I ask for your blessings upon them and upon this community. Would you go before and give wisdom and discernment and compassion? Would you guide their thoughts and their speech tonight? And would your Spirit move in and among all of the participants here tonight, guiding in righteousness through both the discussion and in the decision-making? And now, Father, we ask for your love to be poured into our hearts and to overflow into our community. And we just give you all the honor, glory, and praise, and we ask this all in the name of Jesus Christ by the power of his Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Stacy. We will wait until 7 to bring our meeting to order. Bob Porter did let me know that he'd be a little late, and as you can see, without him here, we don't have a quorum, so. But we can be ready for our 7 o'clock council meeting. The grant writer, the grant consultant who was going to give a presentation at tonight's meeting is not able to be here tonight. So that portion of the agenda will be
I did talk a little bit with
jumped over.
Chief Hubbard about that
Oh,
too.
did ya?
And he said he'd be very interested in sitting in on that meeting. So,
Okay, well, we'll get in touch with him then again when we reschedule him. And John is here to take that information, but evidently didn't get my message, so
Yeah.
so John will give
We
us a
just raised
report.
John, speaking from the firefighter side of, we raised a ton of grants for
Yeah.
Lake View.
We received some.
Great.
Gee,
I'm sending Bob a text to see if he has any idea what time he'll get here. And as though by magic, here he is.
1 minute to spare.
Alright, you guys, just here, stop talking about it.
As long as it's all true, I don't care.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Your name has been mentioned a few times.
Yeah, I'm the mayor.
So glad you're here.
Oh,
I'm
not-
surprised they made it on
We are glad, because as you can see, we didn't have a quorum with us.
See that?
We'll wait just another couple minutes to see if Adam will be here.
No midnight tonight?
No, Mindy has a granddaughter graduating.
No. That's right, she did say that, she was not going to be there.
Okay, it's now 7 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll just once again let you know, those of you that don't, that Devin is absent tonight due to engagement with her daughter who's graduating from high school. Mindy also is excused tonight for a similar reason. And we thank Dory for filling in for Devin, and Dory will take roll call.
Randy Coffey,
Here.
Mindy Gelbovee, Adam Grass, Larry Lambert,
Here.
Bob Porter,
Here.
Steve Wallace,
Here.
Mayor Sue Hammond.
Here. We do have a quorum, so we'll move ahead to approval of the agenda.
I move that the agenda be adopted as printed.
You have to share with me.
It's been moved by Larry, seconded by Steve, to approve the agenda as printed. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay. Motion passes. Moving on then to reading and approval of the minutes of the previous meeting from May 6th.
I move that we accept the minutes from the May 6th meeting. Sorry.
And we have a
Got a
second.
game to watch.
Did somebody second it?
Aye.
Steve did? Okay. Moved by Bob, seconded by Steve, that we suspend the rules, waive the reading, and approve the minutes from the May 6th meeting. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And now we get into our time of pre-approved reports. And since our grant consultant is not here this evening, but John Plowman came to hear him, we're going to let John talk.
I'll try to be as brief as possible.
Thank you, John. Commissioner Plowman.
I'll start with city things. I serve on the Sus Alliance Peri-Ambulance Board. It's been an unusual year. Truthfully, we dodged the COVID problems, especially in ambulance service, until about 6-7 weeks ago. And then we had quarantine, some came down with it. Most of the personnel now is getting their shots, if they hadn't already got them. We have 16 full-time paramedics, EMTs. We sometimes short one or two and we have to hire, but we're a pretty good place to work, and a lot of times we have applicants when there's an opening. So that's good, because it's become kind of tough to find paramedics. They are fewer than there used to be, and I don't know. Maybe it's just the labor pool, but that's just the way it is. Last year we took on Durand for ambulance service. We take care of 9 different governmental units in the county, lower part of the county, and that has worked out pretty well. Also during this time, of course you would know this, we raised our fee per household from 45 to 65, and everybody's on board. When we do those things, it has to be all in unison, so we started a couple years ago saying that the 45, with the cost of labor, especially labor, and equipment, that's going to have to increase to keep up with the times, and everybody came on board and did that. When I'm talking here, if you have any questions, please raise your hand, because I'll go right into something else. And if you don't remember what you're going to ask me, you can ask me right when I'm speaking. Also, I serve on the I-69 corridor for the Shiawassee County as well as City of Perry. Actually, that gives us 2 votes. But we haven't really met, only once in the last 14 or 15 months. But the I-69 International Corridor is booming, and I mean booming. I've been informed that there's another huge project that is being considered, and the property is going to be a partnership with the state of Michigan between Perry and into the Durand area. And that would create a lot of jobs. I'm not sure exactly what's happening with that, but it's industrial. There's also Project Tim, which is another project over by Durand, which is still in the works, but is still in a holding pattern. If anybody's been to Owasso Corona lately, it's a busy place. M21 is very, very busy. There's 1,000 jobs in our county that are not filled. And those are all types of jobs. Those hospital jobs, factory jobs, so on and so forth. That's really something. And as long as I've been alive, that's never been the case. So that's really good. Let's move in now to a little bit of the county activity. Budgetary wise, revenues, tax revenues have been very good for county government. Most of it is raised from property tax. And now, in last year, originally we were going to receive $750,000 in COVID money. Then it was $1 million. Now it's $1.2 million, and they're still calculating 5 bills before, so could be up to $2 million for 2020 year. Okay, it comes to our general fund, can be used for certain activities. Mainly, we use a lot of it for, not a lot of it, we use quite a portion for 7/24/365 for our health department, and overtime and hiring extra personnel, shots, checking on people, all those kind of things. This year, sitting down, we're projected to receive almost $8 million in money. Now, if you're still sitting down, this bill that they passed this first part of this year wasn't just a 1-year shot, it's a 7-year shot. And we've been told that for the next 7 years, we will receive a like amount every year. Now, like I had indicated earlier, our revenues are excellent. The county has quite a savings account in our tax delinquent fund monies, also in our general revenue monies. A lot of that money has been earmarked for purchasing and building of a new veterans office, and we're in the process of buying that property, and I think we have it all secured. I don't think we'll build anything this year, especially when costs are up 30–40%. I mean, the veterans office, we have one, of course, and it's staffed. It's just really tight. But what I'm saying here is, what we're really afraid of is all this money. And really, yeah, we could probably find something to spend it on, but is that the right thing to do? We're reaching out to all organizations in our county, townships, cities, villages, for any activities that might benefit the county. We're going to donate some more money for the Langeburg recyclers. Yeah. This county has tried to do recycling. I know that Sue was very involved and worked at it very hard for what, 4 years?
Yeah, about 5 years.
5 years, and hard to get people to participate. Yeah. But anyway, that's one area, but that's not very much money. Other than that, I also serve as a liaison to the Road Commission from the Board of Commissioners. I go twice a month at 7:30 in the morning, and the second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday to listen to reports. And believe it or not, Road Commission is very busy. Some of those meetings are an hour and a half, and they do not stop. I mean, there's roads, there's bids. Last year, the Road Commission completed all their projects with the townships, state, and their local monies. And so when you see the chip seals on your roads, coming up down Britton Road or Baird Road, all those activities, that's county and township, state and federal funds all in one. They completed the 4th year of the 8-year plan. And the reason there was an 8-year plan, about 5–6 years ago, road tax in Michigan was increased. And that money came directly to counties, cities, and villages. The state really didn't get much of that money. They have a lot of money for roads anyway. So we've been able to do a lot more for our citizens in this county. And again, this is like, this year will be the 5th year. Next year they'll work on the next 5-year plan, so on and so forth. This year was not a horrible winter. Roads did not break up sometimes as much as they can with frost even. So there'll be a lot of activity again in the county, and they expect to complete all their projects. And that has a connotation to it. Road tax money, a lot of people thought that would dwindle to nothing because of COVID. No. It almost was exactly what it should be. Again, tax revenues have not been hurt substantially, but the federal government just keeps spending all sorts of money. Not a good situation. Also last year, we hired a new county administrator. He's a gentleman. He also serves on the Durant City Council for the last 17 years. Brian Boggs. And he has been an excellent addition. He understands city government. He understands government. He has a degree in administration. He just completed his law degree. And he's been a fine addition to our activities. I could talk about other things, but those are the highlights. City activities, the one thing I'd like to comment on, I have the text and I kept it on my phone, about the Downtown Development Authority. And I know the Planning Commission looked at it, and so on and so forth. The reason that I kind of like a Downtown Development Authority is the board can be made up of business people, lay people, citizens, retirees. You can put a lot of people on that board that can bring an awful lot of knowledge to that board, other than just having maybe a business association or even the Planning Commission. Of course, I could talk a little about planning. I did it for 20 years here. But every other village and city in our county has a Downtown Development Authority. Oh, I think, yeah. Yeah, well, anyway,
I don't think so.
okay, all right. Anyway, it won't bring in much money, and I understand that. As a business person, I wouldn't expect to spend a lot of money there for a very long time. It would have to build up. Perry Township's Downtown Development Authority took years and years and years to accumulate funds to say for the lighting system and so on and so forth. But what it would do, it'd bring people together to talk. I do not know what it would cost to formulate, I can't remember, formulate a downtown development authority governmental entity. But there's several governmental attorneys out there that could certainly give you an idea. We have a very good one that works with our CESA Alliance. Other than that, I really like the gondolas for trash pickup. I'm glad they still pick up my branches and my grass clippings, all those kind of things. And I would certainly like to see Perry grow, especially residential, which has started to a little bit. There's some houses going up in the city of Perry.
Yeah, it's more than a little bit, John,
Yeah,
but yeah.
well, I'm just, you know,
Yeah.
I'm very, very hopeful that it will continue. It certainly adds to the tax base. I would certainly like to see some industry here, whatever we could do, and so on and so forth. But anyway, anybody have any questions?
Anybody virtually have questions for Commissioner Plowman?
I have a recommendation, John, for some of that money the county's getting that would like to spread to communities.
Yeah.
We need some work done at the community library, and it's pretty costly. So maybe we could get $50,000–$60,000 toward the library.
Good idea. Yeah, because really penal fines, which is actually money that comes from court system, I mean, that is a county activity.
The work he's talking about is divided. The interior work is funded by the library themselves.
Okay.
The exterior work that's needed on the building that's owned by the city is also going to be very expensive. We've been getting bids, and as you know, construction costs are through the
Very
roof.
expensive.
We'll be talking about that later, but we don't have all our bids in yet, but it's about 3 times more than what we originally thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we have to scrape paint the water tower. We've got library work. We have the McQueen House that's owned by the city. And you already know this, I'm sure, the township city-owned building that the fire department has a leaky roof.
That, we did patch it, we were going to replace it
Yeah.
this summer.
But if some of that money can be earmarked for those
activities.
expenses,
Great.
that would be awesome.
How does the city go about requesting those types of?
I would think that if you, the city council mayor, send a letter to this county board of commissioners, we're going to have a lot of that activity directed towards us. I do know that other counties have given money to road commissions.
We have roads that need to be repaved too.
Yep, and they've given money to cities and villages for road work, or a combination. So there's quite an area of that, and really, we haven't really discussed any of that yet. And I'm sure that once it gets out that we certainly would like to have ideas, we'll have a lot of ideas. So anyway, but yeah, just, I wanted to come and mention that too, so. And if that money keeps coming in year after year after year, wow. Also too, one other thing, we've retired MERS. MERS is no longer our retirement.
Really?
Yeah. And that we're now with Manor Wealth, and for our 401A and our 457B, I had a lot to do with this. I'm the chairman of the finance committee, and I started 3 or 4 years ago, and we've now come to fruition. What that means is that we will not be incurring any more legacy costs in a budget year. So, starting next year, anybody who has come to work for us since January 1st of this year, of course, they get a defined contribution. That's like a 401B, and then they also can put money into a 457B. The county will participate in both of those activities. And the 457B is a Roth account. That's after your taxes. The 401B, or A, some of them call it, that is money that's put in from the county, and that's part of your retirement. And when you leave the employment of the county, that money goes with you. Under defined benefit MERS, even though the county, and I've looked at this all, theoretically put in every year what they were supposed to put in. We ended up, right now, $31 million upside down.
Oh,
Now, with the rule changes coming, January 1st of '22, this is why we did all this work last year and this year, the rules change for defined benefit MERS. That figure of 30, 31, 32, $33 million, we've actually gained in value on our assets, so our actuals come down. That would swell to probably $55 million on January 1st of 2022. So, we've moved all the 457 monies from all the counties. Actually, the road commission's in the process of doing that too. We're going to be sending a letter to MERS that wealth management will be taking over our funds. Now, for those people working for the county, they can remain in MERS if they're vested. Then if they're not vested, vested is after 10 years, you will have the opportunity to stay in the defined benefit program. Or we will make you an offer to buy you out of defined benefit and put you in the 401A or B. Now, in my experience in industry and business, if an entity is going to offer you a lot of money to get you out of that vested, you better take it and you better invest it. And then it becomes your money. Not when you die, it just stays, if defined benefit like with MERS, that's it. But if you die and you got $500,000 in that, your heirs get that. So, I mean, kind of.
I have a question for you, John.
Yes.
You said you're gonna fix the roof on the station?
Yeah.
I remember being in the audience at a council meeting, and you said that you're gonna move. So what is the time plan or time frame of that?
Okay. We've identified a couple of properties that we could probably purchase. We got really nervous as the costs of building went up before COVID. Even before COVID, things were getting kind of expensive. We understand that a building, let's say that we were looking at a building that would cost $2 million, $2.1 million. Today, that building, with a rising cost factor, if you could find somebody to bid on it and build it, could be as high, we've been told about 3.5. Well, we would have to float a millage for that money, and because the mill is only worth so much money in the Perry Township, Village of Morris, City of Perry, that would be several mills. And that would be difficult, and very difficult to pass. We've looked at several different types of buildings. So at this point, our building committee we met, I think in February, and we just decided to not do anything for this year because of the costs incurred, and so on and so forth. And we're a little afraid about if we did have bids, the bids would be very high from any entity to put this building together. Of course, a lot of people put a lot of work in that, firemen and ambulance personnel and chief and everybody. But at this point, we're just going to keep using, of course, our present building. The present building is a very good building. It's just not big enough anymore. And actually, it was built in '85, and in that concept of how long should that building last, and it was a 30-year building for growth. And we're at that. Just one other thing I'd like to touch on. A lot of action going on for high schools through our area. Consolidations. State is really pushing. I've heard some scuttle about what's happened this week. Just a couple of our school districts in this county, and you'd be very surprised. So, I don't know if it's going to happen, but there will be a couple less high schools in Charles County. So, that's very interesting to me because of there's lack of students, and then support those areas. I know that Perry had 77 graduates this year. I graduated Perry in 1967, and there was 87 of us. And that's, well, how long ago was that? That was 55 years ago, something like that.
Wow, John, you're old.
I know. And you're a lot younger than I
I
am.
am a lot
You are,
younger.
right? Okay, anything else you'd like to discuss? Okay. And also, I meant to mention that when we formed the ambulance service, one of the key people was Steve. And you know, that's how he got his gray hair.
That's how I got the loss of hair.
Thank you, Commissioner Blackman.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have anyone to address any topics during public comment that are in the room or virtually? And Dory, do we have any communications today?
No.
No communications today. I do have a report under Mayor's report because Dory didn't want to talk in front of people. She gave me these, and it's regarding the Memorial Day Parade. It is happening this Saturday, Saturday, May 29th, not this Saturday, a week from Saturday, at 11 a.m. It is sponsored by Perry's Glen M. Arnold VFW AMVETS. There will be a traditional ceremony after the parade at Roselawn Cemetery on Ellsworth Road. If you do have interest in being a part of that parade, you can get more information by calling the post at 517-625-3154. And also, just to follow up on the fact that that is Memorial Day weekend, City Hall will be closed Monday, May 31st. In observance of Memorial Day, the trash will be picked up on Tuesday. So not on Monday, Memorial Day, but the next day, Tuesday, for trash pickup. Any questions about that? Okay. Any committee reports that we have today?
I'll give a couple of quick reports, excuse me, on behalf of the Finance and Ordinance Committee. One is we're still awaiting feedback. As I mentioned before, we have sent forward to our city attorney for review some suggestions relative to violation or enforcement of the zoning ordinance. And as soon as we get that feedback, we'll be bringing that forward. Also in your packet that you received this week is some changes proposed to the water and sewer ordinance. You recall a few months ago there were some changes to the water and sewer ordinance. Subsequent to those being approved on behalf of the committee, and I took a look at it with Devin, we consolidated and streamlined that ordinance. So as of right now, take a look at it, and we're going to plan to, I think, put it on next agenda for initial reading at that time. I mean, it's nothing of substance that changes. It just makes it much clearer and more concise in terms of anyone that wants to look and read about the water and sewer ordinance for the city. I'll switch to the Business Affairs and Technology Committee. I think I reported that we had sent a letter out to all the businesses within the city asking for their input as it regards the potential to have a business association within the city of Perry. That committee has met, and we are in the process right now of making personal contacts with all of the businesses to solicit their feedback. We're finding that many of them may have seen the original communication but didn't react to it, etc. But probably by the next meeting we should be able to give some input relative to what the general consensus is from the businesses with regard to the association. I know personally it's been favorable, but they wanted a little bit more time to think about it and give a more official response, if you will. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Randy's also on that committee, and you had quite favorable responses from those you talked to, correct?
Most definitely. Just like Larry said, nobody was like jumping right on board, but they all loved the idea of it, to where they could have more feedback. Some did feel that we went downhill in past years, and they want to get back in the community and see more stuff come back to the downtown area and just to the total area, I guess you want to say. So
At Randy's suggestion, and I'll just make this declaration here, during the council meeting, we talked about it at our town hall meeting at 6:30. We would like to, as a city council, invite the business owners, managers of local businesses to join us during the town hall meeting time to talk about business association, what they would like to see, what we can do to help them, what they can do to help us, so forth and so on. So that second Thursday of every month at 6:30 will be an open time that you can chime in virtually still or in person to have discussion regarding a business association. Any other committee reports to come before council at this time? Okay. Presentation and approval of the bills.
I move that we approve the bills as presented and that payment be authorized.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Larry, seconded by Steve to approve the bills as presented and payment be authorized. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion passes. In regard to old business.
So doesn't there have to be a roll call?
No, I don't think so. The old business starts right out talking about the possible approval of library improvements. And you did get a new bid that John got in your packet just today, I think, because it just came in. He did tell me, John Souter, that there is another bid coming. So we have one bid from Rahala that we got last time. We got another bid from Supka that came in today, and he has a third bid coming from a builder. So he asked if we could just move this item to next month's meeting. Everybody okay with that? All right.
Yes.
So no action taken, we'll move it to the next meeting.
It's 7:30.
And now we're at 7:30, Dory reminds me, so we need to move to our public hearing. At 7:30, I now open the public hearing for the 2021-22 budget and city millage rate. Do we have anyone here that would like to pose a question, get clarification, or anyone virtually who would like to ask questions? Anyone on council that needs clarification on anything with the budget or the millage? Questions to ask our treasurer, she's here for that purpose. We'll wait a few more minutes just to be sure. We'll wait till 7:35 if we don't have any questions or comments regarding the public hearing. We will then close that portion. but we'll give another couple minutes. Nobody virtually has their hand up or, okay. (7:35), public hearing regarding the 2021-22 budget. City millage rate is now closed. Let's go on back to our next agenda item, and that's permission to hire. That's in regard to a new treasurer, because Joanne's excited about her February 1, 2022 retirement. The Personnel Committee has met and made a recommendation that you'll see in the proposed motion. Does anybody on council have questions about those recommendations or about the position or anything related to that?
I am worried that because of the amount that's talked about in the motion, I don't know if you're gonna find a college-educated graduate that will work for that.
Well, this amount is based on what we found in Michigan Municipal League and in another source, I can't remember now where Devin got that, but those, well, they are from other municipalities for their treasurers, for their, what was that other?
Administrator,
Yeah, they're,
something like that.
yeah, there's another title for the treasurer that has other people that work under them. And that's where that figure came from. So it's
They also
comparable.
put it as, not necessarily a college degree, but if they have 5 years of experience as a municipal treasurer or deputy treasurer, we're also considering them. So they don't have to have a accounting degree, but they do have to have the experience.
One or the other, or both even. But it, because it's full-time, it does include
Correct.
benefits, which are health if they have health insurance for their full family, that could be as much as $25,000 a year cost to the
Or another
city.
$12 an hour.
Or they could opt out. I mean, that's up to
I
them.
think
And have we posted that opening yet, or? that's-
No, because we're
Just
waiting
getting
for this
approval.
approval. We have to
They
have a,
approved, the council approved a deputy treasurer position. So
we
We
so
eliminated that
rescinded
last
that,
council, I
correct.
think.
now we have to approve hiring a treasurer position.
I kind of agree with Steve. I mean, we're paying grass cutters almost that much.
Yep.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can't get a landscape laborer for less than $15 an hour.
In the university, we can't get one for less than $16.50.
Right,
And
so
that's just the labor.
Yeah.
if I get them, what do you want?
Yeah.
I think
In a
that's what-
sense.
With the silver tsunami and everybody leaving the workforce, that big slug of people for the baby boomers that went into the schools, went into college, went into the workforce, there's just not people to replace them. There just isn't. And I think we're gonna have a lot more of self-service. You push the button on your phone, there's no people, it's all, you know?
They haven't eliminated the shed.
Well, in that, your grass cutter's not getting full benefits either.
No, they don't get, the benefit is a big thing, that's true.
The numbers that are behind the benefits
But-
are huge,
Yeah.
so.
They could have a spouse who has benefits, and that's not a need to them.
Right.
Have we thought about maybe expanding this to getting an intern or something from, like, someone who's about to graduate? And they can work right out of school and work into this position. They may work for, you know, someone who's younger working for $20, and then as it advances. I'm always leery about putting it too low.
I would rather put it low and then raise it if we have to. That's just my thought.
Does that say, does it say starting at? Or does it say just that's the wage? Because if I'm
It
looking
says
for
starting,
something,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the ad would be worded similar to what this motion is, which says, hire a person to train
Starting
for
wage,
treasurer's
okay.
full-time hourly position, to train for treasurer's full-time hourly position immediately, and approve a starting wage of $20 per hour with a requirement for an accounting degree, or as Joe said, or a 5-year experience at a municipal.
Municipality.
Right.
Right.
Again, and Randy was on that committee, Mindy, Adam, Devin was a part of that too, and Joe gave a lot of information. But we looked at comparable wages for comparable positions for comparable cities, sizes. I mean, there's probably 10 on the whole list where this population is similar to the city of Perry. And that's where it came in. I mean, some were higher, but they were the larger cities, maybe a resort city whose population was lower but had a whole lot bigger budget to work
Probably the
with.
taxable value.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, and
the
the-
taxable value is all of it, because if you got a ton more money to spend, then you're gonna pay your people more, even though your population is only
Right.
2,000 or 2,500. If you got, you know, if you're sitting on a neighborhood that's nothing but, you know, $300,000, $400,000 houses, you know.
But
And I think
$20,
the wages out there are gonna definitely change come September. And you're gonna have a lot easier time of finding people to come to work for you. It's across, not just you, I mean, just across the
Do you
United
still
States.
do drug screening?
I don't know, I don't think it's a tax issue, I think it's a wage issue, but we can get into that discussion later.
That's a sit at home and make more money than you work for issue. Yeah.
Larry, go ahead.
That was the-
I've got a bit of the
I don't
same
disagree.
concern. When I look at the due diligence that the personnel committee's put in, I'd be in favor of, let's get it out there, get it posted at that rate, and if we pick some period of time in 30 days, if we haven't found a candidate pool, let's, you know, and we appear that the wages are a key factor in that, let's bring it back and revisit it and say that we need to adjust it. But, you know, at least, you know, with everything
We
that
have to get it out there.
that they've done, it'll get it out and going, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And I don't know
And
if we have to
certainly
make
if we get people who do apply, but indicate on their application that they would only take the job for $25 an hour. I mean, if we're getting that after that, certainly
Yeah.
the committee would come back together,
I believe
see
we
what they
even
want to
looked it over
do.
for that. We even talked
Yeah,
about that. And,
right.
you know, starting at 20,
Yeah.
but if somebody wants 22, 23, they're very well.
Yeah,
Based on experience.
Yeah.
or-
right. I mean, based on experience, certainly if and we've got to keep in mind, working at a public place such as this, a municipality, is a lot different than doing the books for a non-municipality. It's just way different.
And I do think we should, in the job posting, definitely put the full-time benefits.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
That would go
that's
in the
huge.
posting.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I
And
talked
we-
to a few people through town, but they were just
Yeah.
talking about that
Mhm.
kind of, and
Yeah.
it is a huge factor.
Yeah, we emphasized that in the committee meeting, that in the posting, that full-time health benefits, vacation,
Yeah.
personal time,
Personal
holiday
time,
pay.
What is gonna happen with retirement?
I can't answer that question.
I didn't know if we were doing away with that, or.
I think Mayor Hugo addressed that before I came, but I can't specifically speak to
I
that.
know, I was like, remember. I'm so glad we.
So, what's your pleasure?
I move that we authorize the mayor to hire a person to train for treasurer's full-time hourly position immediately and approve a starting wage of $20 per hour with a requirement of accounting degree or equivalent on-the-job experience due to the treasurer's notice of retiring February 1st of 2022.
Who was that?
2023?
Sorry.
I could be persuaded.
Yeah.
Look at her, she's like, I could be persuaded.
Should give us discounts after February 1st, right?
It's been moved by Larry, seconded by Bob, that we authorize mayor to hire a person to train as read. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. So we will post it. If we don't get any activity on that posting, we'll revisit the wage and talk to you.
Question.
Yes.
Where have you chose to post it at?
I don't know that decision's been made. Devin has successfully posted the other positions we've had, and we've had good response. So I think she has some places in mind. If you have any recommendations for that, just let us know.
College board?
And if anybody
The
knows
colleges.
somebody that's going to be graduating this year, again, it's a different entity to come into a municipality from what they're going to learn in school, but we would not be opposed to talking to anybody. Okay, moving on in the agenda. Under new business, we have quite a few things, but I think they'll move right along. The first one, Larry's going to give us some information regarding possible conditional rezoning.
Okay. I want to speak on behalf of the Planning Commission, and this concerns the rezoning of a piece of property that's on 644 Madison Street. Basically, it's a corner of Britton and Madison Street that has currently or in the past been a church property. Quite honestly, the rezoning discussion has been going on for more than a couple of months right now. Quite some period of time with some back and forth with the Planning Commission, but I'm happy to say that at a 4 o'clock Planning Commission meeting this afternoon, the Planning Commission has approved a conditional rezoning recommendation coming forth to the council, and that would become a conditional commercial business district rezoning that would allow Mr. Thomas's business to begin to resume operation at that facility. And without, you should have all received a packet with the details, but in essence, it would be a low-level office environment. And if at such time in the future that were to ever change from that office environment, the conditions would be that zoning would return back to its present residential classification. Anyone have any comments or questions? It did get unanimously approved, like I said, this afternoon.
I have a few questions. I wasn't clear on what they were gonna do, so it's just gonna be office space. I kinda read that, but I wasn't sure.
It's basically office space where the sales folks, and Mr. Thomas is here, the owner of the business, he may be able to, if I misspeak, but fundamentally, it's going to be in and out office without many people in the facility other than maybe a monthly meeting. There'll be some low level of inventory, but his salespeople are out on the road making in-home visits, demonstrating the product, which is an air purification system that they'll be selling. There will be some low level of inventory kept at the business, but all contained within the current building structures. Some of the conditions that they've agreed to is there will be a privacy fence erected along the east side of that property, dividing that property from the residential business spots that are on Watkins Street currently.
And then you may not know that, I know it's been a church, it was a church when I moved here. Are we not getting tax base from that because it was a church?
There is none. Churches aren't taxed.
I know that, but
Oh.
because it's been vacant for a while, is it, that's
Oh,
why?
yeah, your taxes are going up.
Mind that.
It will be reassessed once
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
taxable.
That's what
It
for
would be
Yeah.
clarification.
Yeah.
Of additional city revenue coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it will, if approved this evening, will allow them to resume.
Larry, do you think it would be appropriate, is this Mr. Thomas?
That's me.
Stand up. This is Mr. Thomas who's made application for this rezoning.
How's it
Do
going,
you,
guys?
do you feel that Larry has adequately described the function of your business from there? Was there anything you
Yeah, I
wanted
mean, it's
to add?
mainly an administration office where we do all of our books, we keep some inventory there, very low level meetings, some phones, it's kind of the main purpose of it.
Will you be having like big semi-trucks loading, offloading, bringing stuff in?
Very, very few. We talked about that, I think at one of the meetings, we talked about that, and we just, and when I talked to Dick, who lives behind me, who's also on the
Billioning. Mhm.
yeah, and he said once the privacy fence goes up, it's not a big deal, but it's very few. I kind of described it as if I do one big load, then I don't have to do any more. Otherwise, it's UPS frequently, so it just saves money if I do one load, then I do a bunch. But like I said, it's up to you guys, and I think we discussed just as long as that privacy fence is there, they're pulling the backside off of Britain rather than Madison, so they'll never be driving down there. But it'd be very, very few and very quick.
So you do understand the conditions that are required?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we've talked about them many times.
Okay.
Yep.
Council, do you have any other questions for Mr. Thomas? Okay. Larry, anything else you want to share?
Now, other than comment that our attorney, Justin English, has been involved along with Mr. Thomas's attorney in developing this document, and there were some changes that came about as a result of a prior planning commission meeting, and I think all of those questions, at least at the planning commission level, have been discussed and adequately agreed upon. Any other comments, questions? I move that we accept and approve the following resolution. Whereas the city has received the application for conditional rezoning for the property located at 644 Madison Street, Perry, Michigan, 48872, and has had the opportunity to review and discuss the terms of the application and the rezoning conditions. Therefore, it is resolved that the city approves the application for conditional rezoning of the property located at 644 Madison from R1B, one family residential, to B1 commercial, subject to the conditions approved by the city contained within the agreement.
Should we, Bob, second? Larry has moved, Bob seconds that we accept this motion as read, or this resolution as read. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
I have a question.
Yes, Joe?
If that property sells, does that zoning go
Goes,
with it, or does it go
no,
back to B1?
goes back to residential.
Residential.
Yes, it goes back
Okay,
to residential.
just one.
That's part of the conditions that are.
Okay.
Welcome to Perry.
Are we good?
We're good.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey,
I will pay them.
If you leave, take him with you.
I will come with me. Just want to say this guy's a great citizen. He's been with me the whole time, so.
I'm his backup.
All right.
I
Gotta
wouldn't
have
say
that.
that too.
God bless everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless, bye-bye.
Bye.
Next on our agenda, we have possible approval of the city millage rate. We did discuss this at the last meeting, but does anybody have questions for Joe regarding that millage rate?
Just a really quick, hit the highlights. When we put the budget together, the first thing I get is I get the taxable value from Steve Schweikert. And then I use our current millage rate and it generates what our tax revenues are gonna be. Our taxable value went up from 46 million to 48 million this year. And so we had a Headley rollback, which was 0.9875. Our millage last year was 13.2990. And with that Headley rollback, we are now asking for, in other words, the county says you can only request
13.0130.
Yes. And so with the increase in the taxable value and the decrease in the millage rate, it made a difference of about $16,000 less than what we initially proposed for our revenues, but still, we're, I think, about 32,000 more than last year.
And even though we are pretty controlled on how this happens, we still have to have an approval by council for the millage rate, thus the motion here.
I move that we set the city Perry tax millage rate for 2021 at 13.0130.
Second.
Been moved by Bob and seconded by Larry regarding approval of the city millage rate, that we set the city of Perry tax millage rate for 2021 at 13.0130. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is possible approval of the city 2021-22 budget. As we had no questions from the public hearing, is there any matters for discussion from council regarding this proposed budget? Then I'm just looking for a motion, I guess.
Nobody wants this one because it's so long.
Because it's so long.
We just say yes, Brendan.
It's a full pager.
Yeah. I move that we accept and adopt the following resolution. Whereas a public hearing was held and all committees were heard regarding the proposed 2021-2022 budget of all city funds with the general ledger by activity number, form, and all other funds by revenue and expense totals. And whereas the revenue and expense totals are itemized as follows. General fund revenue, $1,227,004. General fund expenses, $1,420,839. Highway major revenue, $258,960. Highway major expenses, $388,072. Highway local revenue, $251,327. Highway local expenses, $323,421. Park revenue, $460. Parks expenses, $7,500. Drug fund revenue, no dollars. Drug fund expenses, $1,500. Sewer fund revenue, $557,482. Sewer fund expenses, $554,717. Water fund revenue, $663,164. Water fund expenses, $744,032. Motor pool fund revenue, $192,705. Motor pool fund expenses, $158,912. Office pool revenue, $15,260. Office pool expenses, $17,150. City Hall fund revenue, $0. City Hall fund expenses, $1,500. Therefore, said budget be adopted.
Second.
Good job.
We have a motion by Steve and a second by Bob, as was just read. All those in favor of said resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passes.
You could be the new treasurer, Steve. You're done in November, right?
I am done in November.
Yeah,
You're
there
pretty
you
good with those
go.
numbers.
I'm responsible for, I'm the fiscal officer for a couple of months there at the university. So.
There you go. Next on our agenda, it indicates possible adoption of police union contract. We're going to move that to next month's meeting because we do not have a response. So no action taken. We'll move it to the next meeting. The next item on our agenda is possible approval of the raise for the chief of police. And this is something that I am asking for, hoping, I shouldn't say hoping, I did talk to the personnel committee when we were coming up with the wages for the other positions that we've had to fill this year. And they approved me requesting this. They feel it is justified. And I'm just going to read to you so I don't forget anything I wanted to say, this proposal. In working on the proposed 2021-2022 city budget, I recognized as mayor that the police chief, even though he's been here 20 years, would be paid less money than the new hire in the DPW superintendent position when that is filled. We all appreciate the excellent work of Police Chief Box and his dedication to the city for the past 20 years. I ask council to approve a raise of $5,000 per year as an hourly rate increase of $2.41, retroactive to May 1st of 2021. I had originally asked, or was going to ask, for an increase of $10,000 per year, based on an hourly increase of $481. But due to other restructuring of other departments and hiring, I've decided to decrease that original request. And that was the amount that I talked to the personnel committee about. I would like, though, to revisit his wages in 6 months, once the other hiring has been accomplished and the budget status is clearer. We can then decide if it's possible to raise his wages another $2.41 per hour. That amount would then have his wages comparable to a new hire for a department head plus his time on the job. But this proposal will get him halfway there. Thank you for listening to me. And any discussion now regarding this matter?
Can we, what is the yearly wage? Can you say that publicly? I mean, I assume it's public knowledge, I don't know.
His is, well, the proposed, let me see if I brought it with me, because I don't want to misspeak it. The DPW superintendent position, that is $67,000, I think.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I believe this came in.
And he was going to be under that based on his current wage. So I'm going to say he might be at 64. So he's in that ballpark. But he's been here 20 years.
No, I understand.
And that new person.
That
yes.
wasn't my point of asking the question. I just didn't have a baseline in my head to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
an
there you go.
opinion.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that came through.
I
Any
can't
other
follow
discussion?
wages in your budget, it's, because they go
They're
to so many different things, so.
They're-
Yeah.
Now, this is not meant to be deceptive or whatever, that's just how it's.
No, I understand
If
why.
you would like a report that says what every single person makes, Devin can put that together for you. It's not hidden, I mean, it's just, normally when we get new people, new council members, that's just one of the papers that they get.
I may have it somewhere in my,
You might.
I have a stack, I have a filing cabinet at home, actually.
Ha ha
I do,
ha. Yeah, but we can put that report together for you.
I'm very old
Not
school, I like
a
paper, so I
problem.
can go look at it.
Yeah, not a problem.
I understand your budgeting, I'm not, wasn't criticizing it, it's just, for a layman, it's hard to follow.
When did you find that 5,000 I got in order? Just kidding, just kidding.
I move that we start it. an investigation.
By state, the cost is going up, up, up.
Okay,
I move that we approve the mayor's recommendation as previously stated for an adjustment to the police chief's annual salary.
I have a second on that
Yeah,
motion?
second.
Randy? It's been moved by Larry, seconded by Randy, that we authorize a pay raise of $2.41 per hour to police chief salary retroactive to May 1st, 2021. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay. Motion passes. Employee health insurance. You all got this interesting reading regarding Blue Cross Blue Shield. Devin said, and I said to Dory, if anybody asks you a question, just say, Devin said. In regard to this is Devin's baby. This is what, I mean, she does an excellent job at this. It's the third year with the same plan. There's no changes. This is simply a motion to stick with what we've got. But,
renew it. I have one question.
yep.
Blue Cross Blue Care is wonderful plans, very costly, and we did cost analysis for different plans.
I can take that if you want.
I would like you to field that.
We have a company called Security First, and they service Blue Cross and Blue Shield, PPOs, HMOs, Humana, everything across the board. And they don't have a preference of who, but they do all that research for us.
Okay.
And they find us the best plan. And they will actually come back with, in our little spreadsheet that we have, there'll be like 6 different plans of close to or similar to what we have. The coverage with the deductibles going down or in deductibles going up $1,000. Okay, this is your plan that you have right now. If you have this plan, if you keep this plan, then there's going to be a 3% increase in your cost of your insurance. If you want to go down, you can take these cuts, you can make bigger deductibles, co-pay, co-insurance, no medical, no prescriptions, blah, blah, blah. And so we have the full spectrum of up the scale and down the scale as to where we want to go. But they do all of that for us.
Okay, are we obligated contractually to supply or, give this level of benefits? It's just a non-knowledge question. I don't know.
And I
I would
have to
look at
echo what you just
personnel
said.
policy.
I don't know. I'd have to dig through that personnel policy. I would assume so, based on
I think
our
that-
Well, my only question, insurance is the biggest racket out there.
Yep,
It is. I personally pay almost $16,000 a year for
Yeah.
Blue Care Network, so it's very expensive.
yeah.
I know, I
Yeah.
get it. Just trying
I
to,
think we figured out one.
if you read, listen to the numbers Steve read off, it sounds like we're, and I know we are, in a budget, a deficit budget, so every little
Yeah,
penny.
and it does. And that's why I mentioned in the hiring of the treasurer, the cost of, like, if the person we hire wants full family medical and they've got 3 kids, that's $25,000 a year.
Right.
So,
In this budget that you're looking at right now, we've done something this year that we have not done ever. And that is, we are starting to fund legacy costs. When a person retires, they are paid health care at Blue Cross and Blue Shield's rate until they get to 62. Then they get their
Medicare.
Medicare.
And then they get a supplemental, or they,
And we'll get $4,800 a year to pay the $400 a month for the supplemental insurance to cover that. But if you have someone that retires at 50, someone that retires at 55, that's a long time to pay that health care. And so we have $129,000 that's in that fund right now,
And this year, we put an additional 33,000. That's from from all of the funds to go into offsetting those legacy costs. So a lot of the budget is that. The insurance stayed pretty much the same. I mean, I think we might have had like the same coverage. There was like a 3% increase in the cost.
Says here 3.65%.
3.65.
Yeah, everything, it always goes up.
Yeah.
Karen, they never go down, they always go up.
Yeah.
Cut benefits and go
We have
up.
now, the city,
Keep telling
I'm
them
gonna
like insurance
say
companies.
that when I first started working here, we had full coverage insurance. It covered everything. No deductibles, no copays, it covered everything. You had a full coverage for healthcare for your prescriptions, eye coverage, and dental. Now, the cost to provide that kind of insurance, every year we get dealt with, okay, to keep the insurance costs reasonable or close to where we at, we might have to increase our deductible to $5,000 and $13,000. The one that we're at right now is, I believe, $5,000 deductible per person or $13,000 for the family. And
That's
so-
comparable to what I have.
Yeah.
My only inquisitive question was, is there a way to lower the cost? Unless we're obligated to offer this, provide this, then we're stuck. The legacy cost.
They can
That's
they
the
can
way we
lower
can
the
do it.
cost.
Because I look at
but
your
it would
budget
be
or
putting-
your bills every month, or every time I get one, I look at them. And one of the biggest thing I see go out is Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing we can do about it, there's nothing we can do about it. We have to pay it.
We
People
can
deserve
lower
insurance.
the cost, we can lower the cost of the insurance for the portion that the city has. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting the cost on the employees. Because if the we now have deductible, and we have something called co-insurance. And
Oh, I know all about it.
co-pay, and we have, before the 80/20 starts. And I mean, I'm the first one, I'm so thankful to have the insurance.
Joanne, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying take anything away.
$1 million right here that I didn't have to come up with, so I'm like,
I'm not saying we should take anything away. I'm not for, I think everyone deserves health insurance.
but we are
That's a whole
really,
different discussion.
we are really
I just wanted to
vigilant
see
about
if there's
this.
any way that we could lower the cost, if we looked at, I don't know, whatever company, ABC or XYZ,
Yeah.
instead of Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's a very good insurance, it's great, but I just was looking at cost. It's dollar cents, it's all I was looking at the moment. So, but if that's all we can do, and we have a company that researches it,
Oh,
and gives
yeah.
us this,
They deal
then that
with
answered my
probably
question.
15, 20
Nothing we
different
can do
companies.
about it, but
Yeah, like I said, we're really vigilant. The department heads actually sat down with the mayor and the representatives from this Security First company. And we go through all the plans of what they offer, what the costs are gonna be, what cuts we can make. And I want to say that our insurance coverage has it's not gone down, but the co-pays and the deductibles and all that stuff are going up to keep the costs down. And so we really seriously do look at that
okay.
as a representative for the city. We look at it for the city's costs. What can we do? What are we willing to take on to keep the costs low for the city?
Okay, thank you.
And as a council, if you would like, get looked into as far as your question of city's obligation contractually to pay for the health insurance for an employee. We can certainly look into it. It doesn't hurt anybody to check into that.
No.
Because as you all know, not all companies will provide the entire premium for a family of 5 or 6.
I want to say
It's
it's addressed in
limited.
the personnel policy,
Yeah.
only because of the timelines that they get after 6 months, they get so many days of sick time, and then every month they get a day of sick time, and they get health care coverage after
is it a year? 90 days.
Usually it's 90 days.
And I think after 90 days, then they get full coverage
Right.
medical,
Yeah.
if they're full-time.
Right.
So I think that's addressed in the personnel policy, only because of the timelines that are spelled out in it, so.
We can certainly look at that. We can ask the personnel committee to look at it. And I don't mean to demean anybody or just state the obvious, but my family will tell you I often state the obvious. If we pay less for their health insurance and they need family of 5 health insurance and they're gonna have to pay that difference, then we're gonna not get anybody for $20 an hour.
Or keep them.
We're gonna have to
Or
pay
keep them
it,
once
you
we
know,
get them.
so,
You have to understand,
Yeah.
I am an employed person.
yeah, I know you are.
I am
Yeah.
not independently wealthy.
Yeah,
And like I said, insurance, we can have a different discussion at a different time.
absolutely,
I just wanted to see if we make sure we are prudent in our costs,
absolutely.
because when you hear Blue Cross Blue Shield, you hear dollar signs. That's what I hear and see. It's very expensive. It's great if you can have it. And that's all, that was my only question. Is there a less expensive policy? And I understand with those policies, more personal requirements on the employee. I get it.
I have 2 other questions on this, and we may want to table it for a future agenda item. One is, I just want to verify an assumption. In here, it's 37 people that are covered. I assume that's our direct employees, spouses, or significant others, and any eligible children make up the
Yes.
37.
Yes.
Okay. My other question is, and we kind of touched on it when we were talking about what we should post for a treasurer. Has there ever been a total compensation figure and information provided to each city employee, personalized to their particular situation? Every employee
Did we
knows
get
what.
that information, is that on any of those reports that
I think they have to
Debbie
give them that at the beginning of their program. It's like legal to that they have to show what they're gonna pay out to them, and I think you get it every year also of what the employer paid out and what you paid out. You get a yearly statement.
Yeah, each department head, so Devin, John, Kyle, are responsible for that information going to the employee once the budget's passed. That's when they find out, are they getting a raise this year? Are they getting cost of living? Are they getting any changes to number of holiday pay? So I believe so, Larry, but I
Yeah.
don't absolutely know
I'd like
that.
to consider we have a future agenda topic, and that is, what are we communicating, what can we or should we communicate to the employees? For example, everybody, all find out how many vacation days they get, how many sick days they get, if they get medical coverage, you know, what their hourly rate or their take-home paycheck is. But I don't know that they ever have seen, what does it cost the city for annually for that employee? In other words,
Probably not. They get all the new hires get a personnel policy. And in that personnel policy, it explains the health benefits, what they get. The bereavement pay, how many days they get, holiday pay, what holidays are listed. Vacation, how they earn. The vacation is on a scale, the longer you're here, the more vacation days you get. That's in the policy.
yeah.
So that kind of things they have, but the healthcare, the actual healthcare costs, I would say, no, they don't get that.
Yeah,
But everything else, they have access to
I would
that.
just suggest, because, you know, to Bob's point, healthcare is a big chunk of dollars in our budget, and I'm not suggesting that we alter it or anything else, but I think awareness, because when I used to work for General Motors, we got that periodically,
Yeah.
and you just assume that you got this, that, and the other thing, but when you see that figure, and you're honest,
In
it kind of
dollars.
sets you
In
back.
dollars,
Pardon?
in dollars.
In dollars.
In dollars.
It kind of sets you back in terms of, I never thought about the compensation that I don't see in my paycheck.
Yeah,
That the
they all
city's
look
still
at the
spending.
cash, they all look at the paycheck.
They all look at the paycheck and how many vacation days do I get, but convert that to what it does to our budget
Right.
might be something we want to
I
consider.
think it's a great idea. I do know just from sitting in on job interviews, because we've had a lot of those lately, that Devin goes into detail, but she doesn't say how much that health insurance coverage would cost them based on their family size. She just says that it's provided.
Another thing I believe the city should look into is an opt-out caution,
They have an opt-out.
option. There is an opt.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is, do you know what it is?
I can't say how much more they get paid
There's 200.
for opting, what is it, 200?
I believe it was. A month, or
Yeah, I
per
think you're right,
paycheck.
200, no, it's, I think you're right, 200 a month, or it's $2,400 a year.
Correct.
Yeah, if they opt out of the healthcare insurance.
And then the numbers that we, looking into Kyle's stuff and Devin's, those numbers were huge. I mean, me sitting here just going, wow, between vacation time and sick time and medical costs, it was, oh my, it was a very big number. So,
That was my point.
a nice number. I mean, that, like you say, in the $20 an hour that you're talking about, there's a lot.
Yeah. that's
Oh,
only
you guys
part
have
of
a
it.
great benefit package, so, or they have a great
Would you say
benefit
that
package.
that was half?
What?
The $20 an hour was half of their
Oh, yeah.
benefit, of, at least half of what they.
Yeah, I would say
So
it's
Yeah.
pretty darn close to
Yeah.
that.
What you see in your paycheck,
Mhm.
there's that much
That much
plus
more in
coming
benefits.
down.
Your chargeable
That's
rate,
getting
which
paid
you know
for you.
about, is way
Because
higher.
there's retirement, not retirement, I'm
No.
sorry, short-term disability and long-term disability, and
They got the raw, they
insurance,
got insurance.
life insurance, that's what I'm thinking, short-term disability, long-term life insurance, and then medical.
And we provide them the option of contributing to other plans if they want to. It's not something we contribute to, but they have an option to be part of a group.
Yep,
If
and
they want to.
retirement is the city, they put in 2.5%, the city matches it with 5%. So,
So we'll add our discussion items that we've had here, itemization of benefit costs to city for each employee on a yearly basis for information to our next agenda, so that we can be more specific about what that should stipulate.
Past employers, I
And do
got,
that on
I
a
received
yearly
that,
basis.
you get it around December, towards the
Yeah.
end of the year, and
Yeah.
so, it just lets you know, hey, this is what we did for you this
Yeah.
year. So,
Yeah, there you go. Merry
is that
Christmas.
before or after your Christmas bonus?
Back,
Just kidding,
Yeah.
just kidding.
What are those?
What?
Yeah, what-
back to our agenda item of employee health insurance.
I move that we approve employee health care plan for the 2020-21 fiscal year with Blue Cross Blue Shield Physician's Choice Plan and authorize the clerk to sign the same on behalf of the city.
I'll support that.
Moved by Larry, seconded by Steve. Motion as read regarding health care. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay. Motion passes. We're moving on in the agenda. Yay. 2, possible approval of contribution line item for McQueen House. This is not for money. This is simply creating a line item in the budget that will allow contributions to be made to the building, not to the historical society, not to the stuff inside the building, but to the building the city owns for maintenance purposes. And that way, if it has a line item for that, the money can accrue. It can grow, so then when we need to fix something, there's money in there to fix it instead of having to find it out of the general
It's in
fund
there,
budget.
computer.
So that's what this means.
Does
Doesn't-
that mean anybody can contribute?
Anybody can, yes, absolutely.
That one or that one?
And just to point out, the next line item is talking about creation of the same type of line item for parks. However, we already have that.
That's what I just
Yeah, there's two actually.
Yeah, there are 2 line items for parks. So what we're looking for is a motion to approve the line item for the McQueen House, but we are not going to need to do that for parks because it's already there in the budget, so.
I move that we create a fund for the McQueen House to track revenues and expenses and authorize treasurer to create appropriate line items.
Okay, just a discussion item.
A discussion.
Okay, in the general fund, okay, there, on page 5, the McQueen House has its own expense line items, okay, which are utilities, building and grounds maintenance, capital outlay. So if we put money in the budget in these line items, if they do not get spent, that money just rolls back into the general fund. It doesn't stay with the McQueen House. What I'm asking you to approve is to create a fund, not a line item, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
not a line item, but a fund for the McQueen House with the lines and the accounts that go with it. It'll have revenue accounts for the McQueen House, donations, contributions from the city, interest revenue, fundraisers, whatever. And then it will have expense line items for building and grounds, repairs, projects, utilities, that sort of thing. What this is going to accomplish is when people donate money to the McQueen House, when the city makes a contribution to the McQueen House or puts money in their budgets, then when that money does not get used, it stays with the McQueen House. It doesn't go back to general, it stays. That means the McQueen is going to have its standalone fund, like motor pool, like office pool, the parks, and the McQueen House. So that's what I'm asking you permission to do, is to create a fund for the McQueen House that will capture its revenues. We can track whatever money's going in. We can track all the expenses that are going out, just like any other fund. The only thing is that when the year end closes, the funding stays with the McQueen House. So if somebody donates $1,000, it doesn't get spent this year, next year, that $1,000 is still there in fund balance.
Thank you, Joanne, for clarifying that.
Okay.
The motion wording, I believe,
Is
is
correct.
stated the way that it
It's
needs
gonna
to be done.
Yes, it needs to have a
But
fund.
I'm just going to ask Steve if he'll make that motion again.
I gotta read it twice?
Yes.
Long one.
You're doing such a great job tonight.
I move that we create a fund for the McQueen House to track revenues and expenses and authorize treasurer to create appropriate line items.
Do we have a second for that motion?
Oh,
Randy? Seconded. Motion by Steve, second by Randy, to create the fund for the McQueen House as read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion passes. And then I didn't mean to confuse the issue, but just because it's kind of the same thing, we do not need to
Yeah.
create a fund for the parks because it's there. So we're going to move on past the parks line and go to possible resolution to authorize administrative services for the trust. And that, I think you have a copy of a resolution approving administrative services agreement. That's what this is in regard to. I hope you don't have questions because Devin's not here, but if you do, I'll try to answer. Any discussion? It is kind of a long motion, so.
Sue, does it have Does it say when the money has to be transferred for this trust to be active? Both of
This is just an approval to allow it to happen. I don't
Okay.
think it has any of that
All right.
information in
Well,
it.
just so that you guys know,
Oh,
I
wait,
have,
yeah.
I think I saw it somewhere.
Yeah,
when I
it might
read
be in
through.
this, in the agreement here.
Okay.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I have one CD that's maturing May 29th. And so we can take that out. That's part of the health benefits that's going to be going. And the other one doesn't mature until 8/22. So August of 22, that portion will be moved to it.
I thought I saw something in there when I read through it.
What impact will the date have, Joe? Just that, will there be penalties if you draw it out early
Oh.
or?
You know what, I haven't talked to the bank about that yet. I was trying to put money into the health benefits, and they can't, until it matures, and then they have 10 days to add to it. So I was looking at the maturity dates, and like I said, the smaller one, I believe it's like 29,000, is due May 29th is when that matures. And the other one is 8/22, and so I didn't get a chance to talk to the bank to find out, if we can just open it up and take it out. The interest is so minuscule anyway
Okay.
right now.
Right. Do you see any reason not to approve this administrative services agreement then?
Not at all.
All right. Any other questions?
I think this was just to make sure we could set up the trust.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I move that we accept and adopt the following resolution, whereas the ICMA Retirement Corporation and the City of Perry desire to enter in an agreement entitled Administrative Services Agreement between ICMA Retirement Corporation and the City of Perry. And whereas the City Council for the City of Perry, having reviewed the same, I have to read the next one. Therefore, it is resolved that the City Council authorizes the city clerk and/or mayor to enter into the aforementioned agreement pursuant to the terms contained here and therein. Goodness.
Thank you.
The second.
Can you read that last part again?
Yeah, sure, can I have simple language?
We've had a motion from Bob, second by Larry, that this resolution be approved as read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by nay? Motion passes. Possible approval of annual donation to the Greater Langsberg Recyclers. Recall that last week, we had a presentation from them, Greater Langsberg, Greater Langsberg Recyclers. And they indicated a need to build a new building and to fund the program. It does literally become free to anybody that takes their recycling there. They do have a donation box where you can slip in some money, but you don't have to do that to use it. When Perry City, Township, and the Village of Morris consolidated in a recycling program, the city gave $1,500, the last contribution, a year. It covered a year for that program. That's why in this motion that's been prepared, she put that number in there. Do not feel like you have to use that number. That number could be changed. We could also break up the number if you choose to. We could give some money to their building fund, some money to their costs of the recycling program for the year. You can make it an annual contribution, you can make it a one-time contribution. So the motion that's here is just a suggestion. And Or certainly your fourth choice would be not to make any contribution at all. But that's up to you, council discussion regarding that.
I have a question probably for Joe, unless anybody else can answer it. I know that they were in previously with the prior council and mayor and gave an update concerning the progress on the Langsburg recycling. Was there ever a contribution or donation made by the city at that time, since this has been going on for a while?
No.
Or would this be the
So
first?
this would be the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We never did make a contribution to them.
I'm curious how many people from this area would travel to Langsford to do the recycling?
I go all the way over to Lansing.
Yeah, and that is
Because they
exactly.
take everything.
Yeah.
Half of it probably ends up in the landfill, but they can take it all.
Okay, so
I go to East Lansing.
Chris, what did you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
she said she
I
goes
go
to
to
East
East
Lansing.
Lansing.
East Lansing. We go to Hazlet right
What
now.
if we gave them part of the money for the recycling and we took the other part of the money and paid someone to help transport all the materials to Langsburg? So like we had like a drop-off site here, if something like an elderly person doesn't want to drive all the way to Langsburg, we have one person that collects everything and takes it over there.
It sounds nice. It would be complicated
If you
because
remember, Joy,
they.
we tried this, we did try this in 98.
Oh, did you?
When
Okay.
It was 98, we did try this, and the material was so contaminated that they put it in the
Yeah,
fill.
that's the other thing.
So,
That's
and
what they found over there too.
at the transfer station also.
Did you work up here at the Public Works Farm?
We did it monthly, if you remember.
I was up there.
Yes,
I
yes.
was up there in the cold.
As volunteer, yes.
Sorting stuff and
Yeah.
sorting papers and stuff, yeah.
At Langsburg, when they're open, they have volunteers there. So when you go in with your newspapers, you put just the newspapers, not the plastic bag you carry that they're in the newspaper bin. When you have bottles, you put in there checked to be clean, they go in the bottle bin. If you have glass, it goes in the glass bin. You know, it's all sorted. When we had our site over in Morris, our combined
Right.
site, that was a
Unsupervised.
single stream, unsupervised drop-off. And our contamination got so out of hand that we twice had to pay a lot of money to get rid of that because it was deemed trash, not recycled
Well, people
materials.
didn't want to pay to have drop their stuff off at the trash, so they just
Well,
stopped
so
and dropped
my
it off.
concern is if that somebody is collecting from people who don't want to drive to Langsburg, that it's going to become an issue with trash, and so then we're going to have to dispose of people's trash, and then we're going to have to sort it all out. It sounds really nice, but I think most people, Chris, how often do you go to East Lansing?
Oh, probably once a month.
Yeah, we go like every 2 or 3 months.
Oh,
So I don't really think
I'd fill up
most
my garage
people.
in 2
How
months.
often do you What did you say?
I'd fill my garage in 2 months. I have 8 bins and they're full now, and I have to make time to go over there. We recycle everything, but I'm an old hippie.
That's
So,
great.
I mean, we recycle things. When I lived in Oregon, you could curbside recycle
Oh, yeah,
your oil,
yeah.
everything, bad recycle. The only thing they wouldn't recycle at the curb was styrofoam. Basically, you had to take that into the city. So we're, you know, and I understand most of it just gets thrown away, I think anyways, because it makes you feel good. But
Yeah, that's
there
what-
is a
that's
market,
what I
there
thought.
was a market for it. I think there should be a market for it, but I can't control it. That's not my business, so. No, I recycle everything. I don't throw out that much trash, it all gets recycled.
Every once in a while, you hear about a new use for plastic, you know, like they're making clothes out of it or something, you know. So I think they're constantly trying to develop uses for the recycling, but
It won't
And-
keep up with our use.
it's nice that it's
They need
being
to find a way to
recycled.
make it easy for everybody.
Yeah.
That's when it's gonna kick in.
Yeah. Any further discussion? If not,
Didn't they ask for a certain amount? Weren't they asking for a suggested amount?
well, they told us what they had gotten from other people.
I didn't bring it with me, I can't
Shi-
remember.
Shiawassee County gave 7,000 toward their building cost.
Yeah, and we're,
I just asked him.
yeah, it looks like we'll give another 3. They were, last week, about 10 days ago, they were within 17,000 of their goals. Maybe it says it there, but they applied for a $100,000 grant from the Eagle, and they basically got 50, but they were happy with that.
Right.
Cook Foundation gave them 17.
Yep,
Clinton County stepped up, several other townships have stepped up.
yeah.
And
Clinton County has given them 6,000 toward building costs, 1,000 toward their annual operating fund. City of Langsberg has given 5,000 for building costs. And Woodhull Township has given 2,000 for building cost, 1,000 for annual operating fund. Victor Township, 2,000 building, 2,000 annual operating fund. Greater Lansing Recyclers, no, maybe that's Greater Langsberg Recyclers, GLR, has donated $1,000 toward the building costs. Langsberg Schools is donating property for the site location.
Do we have it
But I
money
think
somewhere?
that's all the numbers.
Is it better for us, do we have the money to do an annual?
Joe,
No,
can
or-
you address that? Do we have in general
Should
fund
we
an
revisit it?
adequate amount to give a annual donation, or
How much?
should we just do a one-time?
I would do one time and then revisit it year after year.
That's true.
We're already going into a deficit spending year this year, one time.
I think that's a
That's
good
a good
suggestion.
We're right there and then revisit it.
And
Yeah.
I guess a question I would have, when do they, if we're giving it for, I'm assuming we're thinking operating fund. I don't know if they have any plans to be able to get some sort of a read on, of the people that come in. Are they from Perry Township? Are they from Shaftesburg, from the city? Yeah. I'd support the first year of operation, and then we ought to see how many of our residents actually are utilizing it before we make a decision.
I wouldn't even put in the motion that it would be for operating or for the building fund. Just a one-time,
Right.
here you
Do
go.
it where you want to.
And then we can decide in the future.
So we would leave it up to them whether to use it for their building or their operating
Right.
fund, okay?
I just might point out that they're buying a machine that bundles everything. As a county, our question is, how many individuals in our county, townships, cities, villages, or so on and so forth, actually will use that location? As a county, we have hazardous waste and we have e-waste pickups. Every other year, we're here, right here with hazardous waste. And that's been quite successful. E-waste, electronic stuff, we do that. Sometimes we do it in Owasso, sometimes we do it, actually, road commission now is a good place to do that because tires and all sorts of things come in. I just say that if a lot of people in the city of Perry uses that, then you can look at it next time. But if it turns out that really no one from here goes there, because they do keep track of, I mean, they'll ask you, hey, where are you from? Well, I'm from Lynchburg. Oh, okay, you know. And they've been doing it for 31 years, so
Yeah, they have.
they kind of have it down a little bit.
The numbers that I read to you are from a communication dated, well, the municipality update of April 1st. So there may have been other contributions since then. They do have a GoFundMe page too, I think he mentioned when he was here. So if we do a one-time donation for use as determined by Greater Langsberg Recyclers, what amount of money would you want to see that one-time donation be? Again, that 1,500 was just based on what had been done here locally. Doesn't have to be that number. Can be more, can be less, whatever you think.
I move that we approve a one-time donation in an amount not to exceed $1,500 to the Greater Laingsburg Recyclers toward their annual, to be determined by them.
I second.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Larry. A motion for donation, one-time donation to the Greater Laingsburg Recyclers. As read, with the donation to be used as determined by the Greater Laingsburg Recyclers. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion passes. We do have one other new business item, and that is possible adoption of resolution HB 4115. This is in regard to the presentation we heard last meeting from Mike Tobias regarding the expanded hours for on-premises alcohol sales. Their presentation was asking us as a council to support the opposition to this bill. That absolutely is up to you, council. You don't have to do this. You don't, I mean, it's written there for option of supporting or opposing that support, whichever you prefer.
I move that we accept and approve the following resolution. Whereas the city has received and reviewed legislative analysis of House Bill 4115, which would amend the Michigan Liquor Control Code to allow for the sale of on-premises alcohol liquor under expanded hours from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. And whereas the city would be opposed to allow for expanded sale hours of alcoholic liquor due to the negative effect the expanded sale hours would have on the health, safety, and well-being of the citizens of the city of Perry. Therefore, let it be resolved that the city opposes the enactment of House Bill 4115.
I have a question. Would you be opposed to amend that language to say could instead of would have on the health, safety, and well-being of the citizens of Perry?
I would agree to that change. Could have an impact. It's not guaranteed that it will.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved by Larry, seconded by Steve, the motion as read, that I would also like to ask for an addition to this. To declare our opposition to this bill, a communication has to be created. And I would like council to give that direction to someone. I can do it, Devin can do it. We can even ask Mike to do it if he's a city resident. But I would prefer it be somebody here in the city, but I need written direction to create that communication. If you would amend your motion.
I will
to
amend the
add that.
motion to include that the mayor or city clerk of Perry will document the opposition of the city of Perry to House Bill 4115 and communicate to the appropriate agency in the state of Michigan.
With the motion Larry has made and Steve has seconded as amended, all those in favor of that motion as amended signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Can we back up here? We need a motion so we can get this off the agenda.
Oh, okay. Dory reminds me that in regard to the park item that we didn't need to do anything with, we need a motion saying that we don't need to do anything with it, so that it can be removed from the agenda. We can't just do a no action taken, because that would just move it,
That'll put it on
wouldn't
next
it?
week's,
That would
next
just move
month's
it.
adjustment.
So we need a motion to,
Table it. I move that we table the possible approval or possible line item for parks in the budget.
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Moved by Bob, seconded by Larry to table indefinitely the contribution line item for parks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are those opposed by nay? Motion passes. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Dory.
Good catch.
Any other business that may come before council? Do we have any public comment?
Do we have anybody that is still checking into the ordinance about trash and junk and cars and all that and
We do.
junk houses?
Yeah. If you'll remember, earlier in this meeting, Larry said that the ordinance committee had revised some language and we were waiting for the attorney's review of that language to give zoning authority to address those issues.
Okay, I didn't understand that's what that was for.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Okay.
So that we've got some teeth, if you will, in terms of enforcing the ordinances that are on the books.
I worked on this a year or two ago, but it never went anywhere.
It just does, in the ordinance as it's written right now, it doesn't go on to say what the
Penalties or,
penalties are. And so that's what's been being done, are to come up with the process and the penalties for issues such as that. And that's what the attorney's reviewing, is that language.
Penalties need to be enough, so it gives incentive to do
I think
something about it.
I think we're there, Chris.
Okay.
Yep.
Like if my street is not looking real great.
I'm hoping it'll look better soon. John?
Yeah, we even at the county, we revised, we'll call it junk or whatever. And, you know, we have a nice letter, the second letter, a little more forceful. Third offense, third time, $500, $1,000. And with the authority to put it right on your taxes. Yeah, just bang, bang. You don't get nothing.
We have that as far as noxious
Do you have a
weeds.
code officer?
Yeah, we do. We have somebody for enforcement. Yeah, and then
Is he a
if we,
police officer or a public person? Or a-
it's a zoning administrator and we can't use police.
Ours is a smidge different, but it's along those same
Yeah,
lines.
ours is like a county-wide,
Yeah.
but we were running into, $100
Yeah.
and it didn't phase in. Oh, the guy, eventually, I owe 2 service charges and you pay the $100. Then the month later, everything's back. And I know what Chris is, I'm around town all day long. And I'll tell you, you should be a good neighbor.
Yes.
Should be a good neighbor.
We should all be good neighbors.
I don't think anybody needs it perfect, but
I don't think we're asking for perfect.
no,
Well, when you have them
there's
stacked
a
on
lot
each
of
other.
stuff in some
A lot of
places
people putting
that-
stuff out by the road and sitting there
Where's your
forever and
house
no
at?
sign on it. There should be a
I'm
time limit
on the
of
south end of Orchard,
how long
or
that stuff's out
Lincoln,
there.
Orchard, and,
Oh,
ends
oh,
at
it
Lincoln.
goes right down to your house, right?
Hmm?
Past, you're on the back side of where G Parks was.
Same, yeah, they used to be a neighbor.
Yeah, okay.
She's south of there.
Yep.
Any other public comment? Does that answer your question, Chris? Are you good? All right.
Thank you.
Council discussions and observations? Council?
It's just done.
I have a couple.
All right.
You take for what you're worth on the social media, on Perry community page. Yesterday, somebody complained, I had to use the word complain, about some hoodlums riding up and down the hill at Jubilee with a tractor. And the conversation went on quite a bit. Oh, did you see it?
Oh, yeah.
And one person said, I called the police and there was no one on duty. So that was a little concerning. But then the police did tell her they sent a trooper. So she doesn't know what happened after that. I commented that they shouldn't be doing that in public property, and then somebody told me to basically, that this person didn't say mind my own business. Then I went back to him, that person, and said, well, you should involve yourself before you comment, because the city is investing in our parks. We just approved outdoor fitness, blah, blah, blah. So if the perception in our city is that the police don't care, because one of the comments was, yeah, good luck with calling the police. We need to look at that.
Did she say what phone number she called?
No. I didn't.
Because if she called 911, they would never say.
She probably
There's
called the
nobody.
non-emergency, because it
Because-
isn't an emergency.
Well, then she leaves a message. That doesn't mean no one's on duty. That does not mean no one's on duty. If you have to leave a message at the informational line for the police department, it means they're on duty and they're busy. They're not just sitting there answering the phone. So leave your message and you'll get a call back. If you don't, send me an email or call me and I'll take care of it.
I'm glad you told me, because I would have said that to that comment. I didn't
Was-
know what the response was to that specific
I
thing.
got, was it last night?
Yeah, it was, yeah, I was sitting on the
Okay.
porch reading my agenda and stuff.
Guess who came and sat around and he talked to some boys at the Morris Police Department? See, there was a call, Perry might have been busy or
Right.
taking somebody to
Yeah,
jail.
that's our
You know,
reciprocal.
And then
Right,
they'll call, and it could be to Morris, because they're on duty and you come over.
Yeah, and we have a shared agreement.
Yeah,
We do.
or it could be state trooper. State trooper is out here at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
They'll say, I'll take it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's all that, they all listen to each other. So,
Right.
yeah. But I looked and I went to, why is that? I'm down in my warehouse and there's
Yeah.
4 or 5 of us down.
It's a reciprocal agreement we
Yeah, and I'm
have
going,
with the village.
wonder why you're, and I know the kids have, they're
Hoodlum. I use that word
Yeah.
hoodlums
Hoodlum?
affectionately. So
They're
I
out.
was one once.
They're what?
they're out and about.
The weather's nice.
That's right.
Well, they shouldn't be driving, if what was on
Look at that
Facebook is
thing.
true, and they were running a John Deere tractor up and down that hill and basically attempting to try to flip it over, they shouldn't be doing it. 2 things, we don't allow motorized vehicles in the park. There was other people there enjoying the park, they could have lost control and hurt them. They could hurt themselves and then try to sue the city or the manufacturer of the lawnmower or whatever. So all these things, we need, people need to just take self-responsibility. So, and then also Randy, you said about the trash, people leaving things out of the street. You're not supposed to leave things out of the street. You're supposed to get a permit so those things get picked up. The city DPW is not your personal garbage picker, please. So get a permit, we'll get it picked up for you, but don't just set it out there and think the magical person's gonna come pick it up.
Except for this week.
That's right. Any other council discussions or observations? We do have items for our next agenda, one of which we've already talked about, itemization of benefits costs. Any other items that need to be indicated for next meeting's agenda that you're aware of now? You can always add these with Devin. I think we're ready to adjourn. 8:55, meeting's adjourned.